Welcome back to Chris Wyatt Reports on this special live broadcast for the Clash of the Titans. That's right, folks. It's United Rugby Championship action today, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, which makes it 4 o'clock in Cape Town. Well, let's be honest, folks. If you're a Cheetahs fan, a Pumas fan, a Lions fan, a Sharks fan, just be honest here. South Africans get up for one thing, and that is a derby between the Stormers and the Bulls. Whether it's played at DHL Greenpoint Stadium, the White Albatross, the money-losing operation, the vanity project of the ANC, instead of playing where they should be playing at Newlands, they're playing at DHL Greenpoint Stadium, a stadium historically that can't manage its turf, where the grass gets chewed up like a cow's cud. Apparently the turf is finally fixed, but the white elephant, the albatross that is DHL Greenpoint Stadium, like all the other FIFA 2010 World Cup stadiums in Nelspruit, in Durban, in Port Elizabeth, these are just money-losing operations that satisfy the vanity of ANC politicians and now just sit around largely empty, losing money. But that said, it's still a nice venue with a nice, beautiful backdrop of Table Mountain in Cape Town, and we're going to talk about this derby today. This is the one South Africans get up for. So you can answer in the chat very quickly. Are you a Stormers fan? Yes. Are you a Stormers fan? This will be an effort to be neutral in this broadcast. You notice I'm not wearing any Stormers kit or Bulls kit. Or are you a Bulls fan? Are you a Blue Bulls fan, folks? Which is it? You can say in the chat if you're courageous enough to let the rest of the audience know. Who do you support, the Bulls, or do you support the Stormers? Take your pick. All right, let's talk about today's game, which launches in less than an hour and a half. I'll be covering it live on Rugby Ascendant. You can tune in to the YouTube channel Rugby Ascendant to hear my play-by-play and color commentary of this game, this URC game, which for both teams is very important, but for the Stormers, it's critically important that they win today. They cannot afford another loss in this URC season, in which they've been highly inconsistent. Now, the challenge, of course, is that there are a number of key players out for the Stormers, not the least of which is number 8, Evan Ruiz, who cannot go with an injury. He's sitting out. He'll be replaced by Haichive Diamani, who's had good success against the Bulls, so it's probably not a loss for the Stormers in that position. Also, we'll see that Wargeland, recently returned to Cape Town, will not be playing today. Wargeland is also out. He'll be replaced, of course, by Damian Willemse, also capable of playing the fullback position. He's done it for the Springboks. He's done it for the Stormers. He's done it for Province. And then finally, we see that in addition to that, Ben Loader is out. The Kiwi is not going to be playing today's game, Ben Loader. And so Ben Loader being out, and none other than Suleiman Hatzenberg will make it into the lineout. An exciting player. It's always fun to watch Suleiman Hatzeman in these games. So 3 key injuries for the Stormers. Evan Ruiz. Great. Now we got people walking around out here with their dogs. So Evan Ruiz, Ben Loader, and Wargeland all out in this game. But as I said, capable replacements in the form of Damian Willemse, Suleiman Hatzenberg, and also Haichive Diamani, all who can quite capably fill in those roles. So that should go quite well for the Stormers. But it does leave them thin on the bench. It does leave them thin in places where they will not have players available for this game. Sorry, folks, I'm distracted. Sorry about that. Somebody's putting their dog in my yard, and I wonder if they're going to take a dump there. Sorry, distracted about that, folks. Anyway, back to the story here. That's a little distracting. That's the hazard of doing this outside, and suddenly our neighborhood has become the walking zone for pets. I don't know how that happened. They built a pathway from the local park, and suddenly everybody comes here with their pets. We didn't have this problem a couple years ago. So the Bulls are only having one player out, and that's Ron Nortkia. Traditionally been the captain of late. Ron Nortkia is out for this game, but they're able to replace him quite well. So let's take a look at what's going to happen today in the Mother City, where the temperature is ideal, 73 degrees Fahrenheit, 23 degrees Celsius, 0% chance of precipitation, no rain, and humidity at 73%. So the ball shouldn't be slick. The turf should be solid. The weather should be perfect. The only challenge will be the winds, which could affect both of the kickers, Johan Hussen and, of course, Mani Libeck for the Stormers. The wind is going to be about 19 miles per hour, about 26 kilometers per hour. That could very much affect operations on the field for both sides. So we'll see what happens there. Once again, 23 degrees Celsius in the Mother City. It's going to be perfect conditions for rugby in this summer derby. Now let's talk about, we mentioned who's not going to be available in this game. And that, of course, is Evan Ruiz, Wargeland, and, and Ben Loader for the Stormers, being replaced by Haichive Daimane, Damien Willemse, and Suleiman Hatzenberg, a player we're very excited to watch, Suleiman Hatzenberg. But here are the lineups. For the home side, the Stormers will be starting at fullback with Damien Willemse. As I mentioned, Suleiman Hatzenberg will be on the right wing. Ruan Nel, Jean-Luc Duplessis in his 50th match for the Stormers. 50th matches for Jean-Luc Duplessis. He'll be playing in the center there as well. Leo Linzas on the left wing wearing the number 11 jersey. Monty Lubick at the fly half. Paul DeVet is the starting scrum half. Haichive Daimane wearing the number 8 jersey. Ben Jason Dix, number 7. Dion Fourie is the captain once again wearing the 6 jersey. The locks are Ruben van Heerden and Audrey Smith. And then the front row is Nicklin Fouché, who's getting comfortable in that role. Joseph Dweba, who's become a much better hooker. He's been a solid player all along, but his throws were terrible for lineouts. That's improved dramatically. And Steve Satole gets the start in that front row. Off the bench, it's Andre Hugo Fente, the backup hooker. Ali Fermac and Brock Harris, the indomitable Brock Harris, the man who's played 17,555 professional rugby matches. Brock Harris. Connor Evans, the youngster. Willy Engelbrecht, former Puma there with the Stormers. Kike Marabe, Stefan Unger, and Clayton Blomekes. Blomekes, of course, a former Cheetah and a capable backup there coming off the bench. Now, some people take exception to Stefan Unger, saying he's not a particularly good quality scrum half. It does raise the question, where is Herschel Yankees for this game? Yankees was available last week, not available this week for that match. Let me give you the Bulls lineup. We'll talk about how both teams come into this competition. So the Bulls lineup, starting at fullback, the indomitable Springbok and former Cheetah, Willy Leroux at fullback, Kurt Lee Arnsay, the dynamic right winger, Stedman Huntz and David Creel. Who's the Creel brothers, Richard and David, have really come into their own, having great seasons, particularly David. Wearing the number 11 jersey on that left wing is Akanan Moody, also a Springbok. And then we've got Johan Hussen at fly half. Ambrose Papier is the scrum half. He's also having a great season. Cameron Hannigan wearing that number 8 jersey. Elric Lowe is the captain with the 7 jersey. Marco van Staden, Escom. He'll be hopefully, we'll see if he turns the lights out in Cape Town. We'll see how it goes for the Stormers. Reinhard Ludwig, Janko Swanepoel is having a great season. In that front row, Wilco Lowe, Akke van der Merwe, and Gerhard Steenkamp. That is the Bulls starting lineup. Off the bench, John Hendrik Vessels is the backup hooker. Sifiwe Mantazima and Mornay Smith. And then the locks are Dion Slabert and Pilo Gumeda. And then also we've got Keegan Johannes, Chris Smith, and Sebastian de Klerk. That's your bench. I would say, all things being considered, that it's pretty even on the bench. Tough to say who has the advantage. Now, coming into this game, the Stormers have won 6 consecutive games. History's on their side, but history isn't what you need to win a game. You need performance on the field. And the Stormers were atrocious in their last time out. Last week, they played against La Rochelle, Stade Rochelet, in the Champions Cup, and they stole a victory after the hooter when Monty Lubick made an incredibly difficult kick, put it to the uprights, and the Stormers won the game 21-20, if I recall correctly. A game they didn't deserve. They played atrociously. Their style was poor. Their mistakes were many, and they really weren't in it. By contrast, the Bulls, they're all over the place too, but they've had a much better URC season, been consistent. Were it not for some stupid play and a couple mistakes, the Bulls could be sitting atop the URC standings. But as we sit today, approaching Christmas, the Bulls are in 3rd place, and the Stormers, uncharacteristically, after having won the URC championship the first season, got into the final, hosted a second season last year, find themselves in 10th position out of the playoff race at the moment. Only the top to 8 of the 16 teams move on to the knockout stage. But it's still early in the season, relatively speaking, but the Stormers need to start turning it on. And the time to turn on is right now, because next week they'll be playing the Sharks. And they cannot afford to lose this game going into a derby against the Sharks, who are desperate for a win. The Sharks are clawing and scratching to get a win. They've had an abysmal season as well. Even worse, the Sharks were bottom of the log for a fair portion of the season, but finally escaped it after their Springboks came back. Now, the Bulls did quite well without their Springboks, but they have their Springboks now. The Stormers played inconsistently without their Springboks, and then went on the road for their first game in the Champions Cup and played an inexperienced side and squandered a victory. And what a mistake that was. They could have won that game quite easily, but they squandered it. So who's going to win today, folks? Who is your favorite to win today's derby? Will it be the Stormers? Will it be the Bulls? You tell me. You can leave a comment in the chat there. I'm going to go with my heart and not my head. In my Super Root picks, I originally picked the Bulls because that's where the smart money lies. The Bulls are in pretty good form. And even though they've lost 6 in a row to the Stormers, before that they had won 4 in a row against the Stormers. So this thing swings back and forth like a pendulum. One side gets the advantage versus the other side. But at the moment, it's the Stormers who are struggling and need to prove themselves, not the Bulls. Not nearly as much, at least not in URC. So both teams in a victory, and we'll see who gets it here. Yesterday, I did pick Ulster over Connacht, and they won by a point. That was pretty awesome at home. Ulster came through. So we'll see what happens in this game, but I'm going to make my prediction right now. You ready for it? You ready for it? I'm going with the heart, not the head. The head says Bulls. The heart says the Stormers at home for a 7th consecutive victory over the Bulls. And will I be wearing egg on my face? There's a good chance of it. I'll admit that up front. But again, I'm not going with the smart pick. I'm going with the loyalty pick on this one, and sometimes that pays off, oftentimes it does not. So we'll see what happens here, but I'm picking the Stormers over the Bulls by 3. Yeah, that's right. You can hold me to that after the fact and come back and say, well, you said the Stormers are going to win, and they did win. Well, in fact, that's my pick. That's who I'm going with. What about you? Are you picking the Stormers or are you picking the Bulls? You guys decide. Will it be the Blue Bulls today, or will it be the DHL Stormers? From the mother city of Cape Town at DHL Greenpoint Stadium, a poor replacement for Newlands, a white albatross money-losing operation, a vanity project of the African National Congress. Nonetheless, a great backdrop with Table Mountain in sight. Folks, that's going to wrap it up here. We'll see you, hopefully, at Rugby Ascendant at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. That'll be 4 o'clock in Cape Town and across South Africa for live play-by-play and color commentary of the Stormers versus the Bulls. The derby we all look forward to. You can be a Cheetahs fan, a Lions fan, a Pumas fan, Sharks fan. It really doesn't matter. This is the game. And the proof is in the pudding, folks. For my live streams, when I do these, when it comes to games, the games that get the biggest audiences are typically Stormers and Bulls. Bulls and Stormers. Whether it's at Loftus or it's in Cape Town, it doesn't matter. That's the game that folks get up for. Rolf Korver says, Hart says Stormers because my Sharks not playing at this time. That's correct. Sharks are not playing today. They'll be playing the Lions on Tuesday. And then next week they'll be playing the Stormers. I think the Sharks will be in tough shape here because they're going to have to play twice in the same week, and that's going to be tough for them. We'll see how it goes. But the Stormers here have a chance to snatch 2 victories from South African sides and move up the log back into playoff position. Will they do it? Or will the Bulls triumph at DHL Greenpoint Stadium? You decide, folks. Thanks a lot. Be sure to leave a comment behind, and feel free to leave a prediction if you want to put yourself out on the line like I've just done. Tell us who you think is going to win this game. You've got about an hour and 15 minutes before we get started, so feel free to make your bold prediction who's going to win this game, Stormers or Bulls. All right, folks. There we go. We've got one right there. Bulls win by 11. Oh, that is a bold. Actually, that's probably not that bold a prediction there. All right, not a bold prediction. Historically, judging by, what is this, by Curry Cup wins and Super former rugby performances, Stormers and Bulls are, well, historically they have been the best sides in South Africa, but certainly the 2 largest towns in South Africa draw the largest audience. If you look at their Twitter accounts, the Stormers have 278,000 subscribers or followers, and the Bulls have 134,000 or something like that. The other franchises don't even come close to either one of those. So we'll see. Haha, Garrett says Stormers in German. All right, God bless. Take care of yourself, folks. What's this? Rolf says Stormers by 3. That's what I've got. Let's see if I'm right. I can use those points because in Super Brew, I've got Matt Canale, the American, nipping on my heels. Now, how is that? The United Rugby Championship, we've got a Super Brew pool, and the 2 top people in the pool at the moment are both Americans. There are no American sides in United Rugby Championship. There are Welsh, there are Scots, English. No, there's no English sides. Welsh, Scots, Irish, Italian, and South African sides. But the top 2 places in that pool are held by Americans. Yeah, and Americans know nothing about rugby. All right, folks, we'll see you later on Rugby Ascendant. Thanks a lot for tuning in. God bless and take care of yourselves. And to every one of you out there, if you didn't catch this live, you're watching after the fact, let me wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas, a safe Christmas. And don't forget, this is a dangerous season. People are distracted when they're driving, kids screaming in the back seat, parents arguing over whether they're going to arrive in time for dinner. You took the wrong route, you turned the wrong way. Oh my goodness, look at this, we're in Mitchell's Plains. You're going to get out of here quickly. You know, it's going to be a difficult season when people are distracted, not to mention those who get a little bit loaded, they get a little bit lit, a little bit pissed, and they're dangerous on the road. So please be careful if you're driving out there this holiday weekend. We don't want to see anybody disappear. We value each and every one of our viewers and our subscribers, wherever you find yourselves around the world. But this is a time when people are distracted by things around them, and not paying enough attention to the road in front of them. And remember, a motor vehicle, is a deadly weapon, just as deadly or more deadly than a firearm, because it's bigger and easier to hit your target. Yeah, whether it's intentional or by accident. So be safe out there, folks. Don't become a highway casualty. South Africa has tragically had 719 highway fatalities since the beginning of December for the Christmas season. Says the game starts not at 7, no, Bebop Williams. The game starts at 4. You're saying the game starts at 7? Well, I've got to go back and check. If it starts at 7, I've got to adjust then. But my schedule said it started at 4 o'clock. So that's not too far away. Well, I'll make sure on Rugby Senate. The good news is you're telling me it starts later rather than earlier, but I'm pretty sure the game starts at 4 o'clock unless they've moved it. It's possible. They do that for ratings at times. But whatever the case is, folks, please be careful out there. We don't want to lose you. And thank you very much. God bless and have a very Merry Christmas. Or as folks in the UK and some in South Africa say, have a Happy Christmas. I'm not really sure what that is, but a Merry Christmas and a Happy Christmas to all. Cheers.